Les interviews du doc, c'est maintenant sur Vinylestimes.
Eh bien, les amis, ça va être un grand plaisir parce qu'on va discuter dans un instant avec Dave Rath, le batteur originel de Even Age. Alors, pour rappeler un petit peu ce qu'était Even Age, hein, c'est un groupe qui a été fait dans les années 80. Ils sont originaires de Philadelphie. Ils ont plusieurs vies hein, parce qu'ils ont fait une première partie. Ils ont été longtemps autour de leur groupe. Et puis après, il y a eu un petit trou d'air. Et puis, ils reviennent en 2023 avec un album qui s'appelle Get It Right. Alors, on ne s'attendait pas à avoir un album si tôt, mais en tout cas, il est là. Et puis, l'idée, c'est de discuter avec Dave qui nous fait l'honneur et la gentillesse d'être là aujourd'hui pour parler de ce nouvel album. So, Dave, first of all, thank you so much for accepting my invitation. It's a great pleasure to speak again with you after the Firefest, after the Mork in 2020. Finally, Get It Right is here. Wow.
Well, thank you. It's a real honor to be here. It's a pleasure to speak with you, Oliver. I am really happy to talk to you, especially somebody who has seen the band perform before. And coming from France and Europe, that's not an easy task because we don't get over to Europe all that much.
Yeah.
So to speak with you is a real thrill. Thank you very much for having me.
Yeah, bah voilà, vous avez compris. Alors, c'est un grand plaisir de. Alors, moi, je suis très content de revoir David parce que Dave, Marc, Reggie sont des gens qu'on a croisés, alors que j'ai croisés au Firefest il y a quelques années. On va en reparler un petit peu avec Dave. Et puis, bien sûr, au Monster of Rock Rose en 2020. Et puis, on va parler donc de ce Get It Right dans un instant. Dave, Get It Right, it's coming back now since the mid of May. Couple of days ago now, you shared your new music. You are on stage, you have a release party. It's look like crazy that you're coming like a new young band, no?
Well, we like to think so. One thing about Heaven's Edge is, even though we hadn't played together for a long time, when we were starting out, we used to rehearse and practice all the time. I mean, a lot, a real lot. And we practiced our stage show and we practiced and rehearsed in a club. So we used to go onto the stage and practice all the time for hours. So when we got back together, our chemistry was still intact and our performances, our live performances, felt like we still just stepped right back on stage again and felt very comfortable doing it. So I'm really happy and confident about the way that we play live for a band who doesn't play that much. And the release party that we had in Baltimore, the album has actually been done for quite a few months. And I asked Frontiers if they could hold up the release a little bit because we wanted to put it out and celebrate that weekend of M3, which is this big, for your people who are listening, it's a big festival in the United States that features primarily 80s bands, but sometimes they reach back into the 70s as well. If you consider Twisted Sister a 70s band, which I kind of do. They had Styx this year. They've had Whitesnake, who I also view as a 70s band as well. But it's really for us like the big event of the year as far as live shows go. And so we know everybody was going to be there. Everybody was going to be in a partying mood. So we thought, let's put the record out that weekend and we can talk about it. And the people at M3 were kind enough to give us also a second show that we did back at the hotel at the post party where everybody goes to party and hang out after the show. So people showed up, everybody was smashed, having a great time. And we started playing at about midnight, which I love. I love to go on late at night because, you know, that's how it used to be in the old days. It was a small room and everybody was right on top of us. And it was really hot and sweaty. And we were feeling the energy of the crowd, and we cranked out a lot of new songs from the album, and we played some of our older songs. It was a great party, and we really were just really happy to share that moment with all the fans.
Voilà, comme le dit David, alors c'était, moi je posais la question, ils sont de retour avec un nouvel album, ils sont comme un nouveau groupe, un jeune groupe, hein, comme il a dit. Alors effectivement, ils ont eu une release party qui a eu lieu à Baltimore durant le M3. Vous savez, c'est le grand festival où il y a plein de groupes des années 80, parfois des années 70. Comme il le dit, il y a eu Styx, il y a eu des choses comme Whitesnake. Et puis derrière, donc, ils ont fait 2 concerts Alors qui était plutôt sur la scène, hein. Il y a quelques vidéos qui sont disponibles, vous pouvez les trouver sur YouTube. Et puis derrière, il y a eu quelque chose qui s'est passé à l'hôtel, un petit concert intimiste avec plein de gens aux alentours de minuit. Ils ont joué, ils ont profité de tout ça, ils ont partagé des nouveaux titres de Get It Right. Voilà, il y a quand même plein de bonnes choses. Et puis, si vous voulez voir un petit peu, foncez voir sur YouTube. Il y a plein de vidéos du concert de Even Edge au M3 à Baltimore. Le M3, c'est un festival que j'aimerais faire aussi. Mark, I said the M3, it's look like a most important festival right now because we see a lot of bands, old bands and maybe sometimes new bands with coming of the 80s. We play a lot of songs. And I think it's a great idea to share a new comeback for Even Edge during this M3, you know, because a lot of people is clearly like your music in so many years. And I think, and I see a lot of video on YouTube that a lot of people are so happy to hear some new songs and of course some old song of Even Edge. Huh?
Yeah, well, that event is so wonderful because people there are really ready for it. You know, they're inclined to have an open mind for new music. And, you know, a lot of these bands, whether it's Kicks or Vixen or, you know, Heaven's Edge or you know, Lynch Mob and these bands, like they're finally on the verge. Well, Kicks is retiring, but, you know, these bands who have been playing the same music for a long time are finally getting the opportunity to record and release new music. And the fans have been really receptive to it. You know, what happens a lot of times is people could just get so used to your old repertoire that they don't even want to hear anything new. They just want to hear the old stuff, you know, and they don't have the patience for new material. I can be the same way myself for some of the bands that I loved, whether it's like the Rolling Stones or, you know, bands like that. Sometimes I'm like, I don't know if I really want to hear anything new. Just play Jumpin' Jack Flash and that's good enough for me. And when we you know, so when you put out new stuff, you wonder, do people really want to hear it? And we really found that the audience was ready for it and they wanted it. And knowing that, I wanted to make sure that the album itself sounded right up there with anything that we would have recorded in the past, and possibly even better because technology today allows us to do great many things. So the album itself is a little bit of a nod back to what we used to do, but I like to think it sounds competitive and modern in today's world. I even saw that we made it onto a playlist on Spotify. It was a new metal playlist for not new metal like Korn or Slipknot, but like newer songs. And we were thrown in there with all the new stuff that's coming out today. And it sounded competitive. It sounded great. And that was like the whole goal. Yeah.
Voilà, comme le dit Dave, alors on parlait un petit peu d'être sur la scène du M3 parce qu'effectivement, quand vous connaissez un petit peu le M3, il y a quand même beaucoup de groupes des années 80 qui y passent. Et puis je pense que c'était aussi le bon endroit pour Even Edge pour représenter son nouvel album, hein, ni plus ni moins. Donc comme il a dit, effectivement, il y a plein de gens qui sont là, c'est une grande opportunité. Et puis c'est aussi l'occasion de partager un album qui tient la route. Et je vous invite une nouvelle fois à écouter cet album-là qui est disponible depuis peu, hein, le Get It Right. Et puis le son a été fait avec un son actuel. Donc effectivement, pour les fans des années 80, il y a le son de Even Edge dans les années 80 et puis il y a le son maintenant. Puis comme le dit Dave, hein, c'est toujours aussi intéressant d'avoir plein de titres et écouter que des Jumpin' Jack Flash ou des choses comme ça, des Rolling Stones, c'est jamais trop passé. Et il faut vraiment essayer d'être ouvert et d'écouter plein de bonnes choses. Dave, some words, of course, about this new release because today it's crazy to speak about new release. I'm so huge fan of Even Edge in so many years, so I speak about a new release of Even Edge. That's crazy. And what is behind this new release, the challenge that you face when you come back and create a new material for this release? It was so difficult, or clearly everybody came with a lot of idea and we just plug guitar, bass, and drums and let's go for the songs? Or that was a little bit easy? Or?
No, I wouldn't say it was that easy. You know, I don't know if you know this or not, but I'm an A&R person by trade. I was the head of A&R for Roadrunner Records for many, many years. And so I've worked with Gojira, for example, from France. And I've made some big records with some big bands over the years. So when we started working on it, I sort of applied some of my A&R skills to my own band. And the material that we had, I thought was good, but it needed to be great. And songwriting to me is like, it's like flexing a muscle, right? Like the more you do it, the bigger the muscle gets, the better you get at it. And it just took a second for us to really like craft the songs and get them to be the best that we could possibly be. We worked with another person as well, a fellow named Jacob Bunton, and Jacob is a world-class songwriter, and he's also a great singer and a great guitar player. He's played with many other artists. I think he played with Steven Adler at one point as a vocalist. Jacob is a super good friend of mine, and so Jacob and I spoke a little bit about the songs. I sent him the stuff, and I thought, look, what do we need to do here to make sure that these songs are 100%, right? I think some of them were at about 80%, but we needed them to get to 100%. So Jacob came in and helped craft some of the songs with us, and helped us get them to be the best that we could. I equate it a little bit to like when the band Aerosmith got back together in the 80s, right? They ended up doing a little bit of songwriting. They got some songwriting help for some other songwriters who could say, oh, this is what Aerosmith is supposed to sound like, because we know what Aerosmith is, right? Yeah. So let's add a little sauce, special sauce to Aerosmith that you may have, you're so close to the band that you can't even hear it yourself. And so with Jacob, it was interesting. I was like, look, this is some Heaven's Edge songs. And he said, oh man, I'm a huge Heaven's Edge fan. I know what a Heaven's Edge fan would want to hear. Here's what we could adjust the songs a little bit to make them a little bit better. So that took some time, but at the end of the day, it was really worth it, because what happened was, through Jacob, Mark and Reggie, who are the primary songwriters in the band, they heard what he was hearing, right? So in the songs that they were writing, they went back to the songs that they were writing themselves and were like, okay, let's make some adjustments in the stuff that we wrote, even without Jacob. So he was a great influence, and he really helped. And I think we'll probably always be involved with him, because he's almost like the sixth guy in the band. But yeah, it took a second. But I think sometimes that it should, this is an important thing. Music it lives forever, and people expect great things, and you don't want people to waste their time listening to something and be disappointed. We really wanted every song and every moment in every song to mean something to us, and it does. And I think that the fans can tell that this is real for us. So we're not just, cashing in or doing it just for nostalgia. We're doing this because we really enjoy it and we love it. And these songs are important to us.
Ben voilà, comme le dit Dave. Alors la question c'était comment s'est passé l'enregistrement, parce que quand on vient en enregistrement, est-ce que c'était difficile ça? Alors comme il le dit, ils sont rentrés en studio et puis ils avaient des idées, et puis d'un autre côté, il fallait quand même mettre tout ça en musique, on va dire. Et comme Dave, c'est quand même quelqu'un qui gère beaucoup de choses, notamment travaille avec Gojira, pour ne pas les nommer, il s'est dit on va quand même se faire aider par des songwriters. Alors comme il le dit très bien, il fallait sonner actuel sans sonner vieux, il fallait sonner avec des titres importants, et puis comme ils avaient besoin, ils ont pris quelqu'un qui leur a aidé à écrire. Donc Marc, can you just repeat the name of the guys with Jacob?
Jacob Bunton. Jacob Bunton. His last name is spelled Bunton. Yeah.
Voilà. Donc,
yeah, look him up online. He's a real guy.
Voilà. Yeah. Donc ils ont un sixième membre dans Even Edge qui est Jacob Bunton, qui a aidé Mark et Reggie, le chanteur et le guitariste, à faire une orientation, à écrire. Et puis ils ont dit voilà comment ça doit sonner. Ils ont travaillé ensemble tous ces titres. Et puis à la fin, l'idée c'était d'avoir quelque chose qui soit quand même qui tienne la route, bien sûr, et puis qui soit actuel et qui ne sonne pas trop daté, et qui ne soit pas non plus quelque chose qui déçoive les fans. Et je pense qu'ils ont réussi effectivement à faire cette alchimie. Et si j'ai bien compris Dave, Jacob Pontin sera certainement là pour le prochain album. On espère un nouvel album, bien sûr, et pas qu'un live. Voilà. Maybe a few words, Dave, of course, we have to speak just a little bit about of course, the coming back of Even Edge. Like I said at the beginning, I see you on stage at the Firefest with, of course, George Guidotti, with, of course, today left this earth, and when you come back all together for these records. That was a little bit difficult to say we have to record something without Gigi, or what is your feeling when you come back on studio and we have to record and we lost one of the fantastic bass player and a funny guy, in fact, because JJ is one of the funny guys. I remember a lot of time the Gigi behind the Firefest Festival with drinking, speaking, laughing during all the day. So I think that was maybe very difficult. And for me, as fan, maybe I said, oh, this is the end of Even Edge, because this guy is clearly the bass player, the guys behind the music, everything. And I was so surprised when you come back again. So what is your feeling and what is this approach that you have when you enter in a studio without JJ and this funny guy who is clearly was the most fantastic bass player that we have on the music planet?
Well, I have to thank you so much for speaking about George that way. You're going to make me cry. Yeah, he was like one of my best friends in life. And he was somebody that I looked up to when I was a kid. He's a little bit older than me. And we lived together on the road. He was my roommate on the road, and George and I shared a lot of great times together. I can't even tell you. There's nobody else like him in the world. He was 1 in a million, 1 in a billion. He was the funniest freaking guy I ever met. He was always up. He was always ready to go. He was an absolute rock star through and through from the day he was born. And we were really, really lucky to have had him in the band. I miss him terribly every day. I do.
Ben voilà, on a juste ouvert un tout petit peu la page de George J.J. Guidotti, qui était le bassiste du groupe, hein, qui a longtemps travaillé avec le groupe, qui était le bassiste incroyable, un vrai rockstar. Franchement, pour l'avoir vu, c'était vraiment quelqu'un incroyable. Et puis, bien sûr, il nous a quittés. Et moi, j'avais pensé, comme je disais à Dave, que le groupe s'arrêterait, en fait. Et puis, ils ont retrouvé un autre bassiste là, qui a rejoint le groupe, qui est très, très bon. Et puis, avec ce nouveau bassiste, qui s'appelle Jaron Gillino, on a quelqu'un qui a su remplacer JJ, et puis ils ont pu travailler, comme le dit Dave. C'est toujours un grand clin d'œil de parler de JJ, parce que ça faisait partie du mythe du groupe. Dave, we come back with some more happiness words right now. Hey, the good news is you're coming in Europe in September. That's a great surprise to see you on Europe at Hamburg for the festival. So maybe a lot of fun waiting your comeback after this Firefest festival. So I'm waiting a lot this comeback in September. Huh?
I'll tell you something. I have not looked forward to a show this much in a long time. I can't wait to get over there and play. We play a lot of shows. I love playing. But man, we've never played in Germany. I've been to Germany a number of times. I've been to Hamburg. I know what a great city that is. And I can't wait for the other guys to get over there. And I'm proud of what we do. And we want to play for the people in not only in Germany, but I hope obviously people come from France, from Benelux,
coming.
Yeah, from the Netherlands, from the Nordic territories, from Italy, Greece. We're only doing one show over there. So I encourage everybody to come and check us out. I can assure you, you're not going to be disappointed. We are ready to go. We're playing with some great bands on that bill. Hardcore Superstar, cool band. Love those guys. And yeah, man, we're going to play some new stuff from the record, of course. And we'll crank out a lot of the songs that people know from the older material. But most importantly, we really work on our live show, and we're gonna show Europe what we can do, and we're really proud to do that. So we're happy.
I'm pretty sure you fly to kick some ass, huh?
We're gonna do the best we can. I also wanted to just say real quick about Jaron, our new bass player. Heaven's was probably never going to play again after we lost George as a band, but we decided to do it because, well, for two reasons. Number one, I think George, he was a rock star. He didn't want us to just be a forgotten band. And by keeping going, it gives us the opportunity to talk about him just like we're doing right now between you and I, right? So that's really important to me. And secondly, Jaron came along and he just he's different than George. He's not the same kind of person. He's not the same kind of player. So it's not like I look over there and I go, boy, I really miss George, right? I miss him inside of me. But when I see Jaron, I think, man, here's a kid who's come on. He's injected a lot of life into what we do. He's a tremendous player. And he's a good-looking guy, too, on top of everything else. And, you know, he's a little younger, so the band's a little younger. And, you know, he really fit in. And he's such a good guy. And he's such a great player. So we're really lucky to have him. And I can't wait for the people in Europe to see him play in person because he's really something else on stage, too.
Yeah, so, bah, voilà, donc on a parlé un petit peu de concert. Alors, effectivement, alors, je vous rappelle que Even Edge sera en concert, bien sûr, à Hambourg, début septembre, au Indoor Festival à Hambourg. Il y a plein de groupes. Il y a Connu, il y a Hardcore Superstar, Chase Kane, enfin, il y en a plein, dont Even Edge. Et puis, comme il le dit, Dave, il espère qu'effectivement, il y aura plein de... Ils n'ont jamais joué en Allemagne. Et il espère qu'il y aura bien sûr des Français, des Allemands, des Italiens, des Grecs qui viendront les voir. Et puis, ils sont prêts, ils sont chauds bouillants. Ils vont venir... botter des culs, hein, comme il le dit. Et puis, on est revenu juste un instant à parler de Jaron, qui est le nouveau bassiste. Alors, pour la petite histoire, pour l'avoir lu plusieurs fois, effectivement, il voulait s'arrêter. Puis, d'un autre côté, quand ils ont découvert Jaron, qui fait vraiment le métier, le boulot, c'est un jeune bassiste très intéressant, qui n'a rien à voir avec George, bien sûr, mais on continue de parler de George, mais en même temps, on parle de Jaron, et c'est effectivement le groupe a trouvé le bon bassiste qui est différent de George, bien sûr, mais qui continue à faire avancer le groupe. Et comme il est plus jeune qu'eux, comme le dit Dave, il y a un young guys avec des old guys. Hein, voilà, on a compris que derrière, ça faisait avancer. Dave, one thing about the different songs of the new album, you create 10 songs on this new release. Which songs for you do you consider the most special or the most representative of the Even Edge identity on these 10 new songs? Do you have something particular behind this 10 song, or maybe do you think one of these songs is the most representative of where we are now with Even Edge?
No, I don't think there's one song that represents where we are right now out of all of them. And that's really because the band, there's a lot of variety on the album. And so I couldn't say that there's one song that is exactly where we are and that we build around that. But I would say that the song What Could Have Been, I think is my personal favorite because it does represent some of the things that are really great about the band. When I don't mean that we're like such a great band that, you know, we're so great. What I mean is like the songwriting of Mark and Reggie, and of course with Jacob on that song, you know, these guys are good songwriters. You know, they write really, really, really great songs. And that song to me was like, we never really had another song that was like Find Another Way. And I always thought Find Another Way was one of my favorite songs that the band did. And the rest of the material that we ever wrote, we never really had a compliment song to that, or that was sort of in the same zone as that one. And What Could Have Been to me feels like it's right up there with Find Another Way as one of our best songs. And I love the song because it's got a great mood. It's got a great groove. I love the message about it. I love the vocals. I love all the guitar playing. It's a fun song to play on the drums for me because it's pretty straight ahead, but it's really in the pocket. You know, it feels like such a great groove. So that song to me is a great song. And yeah.
No, let's go.
No, I think that for me personally, the song "I'm Not the One," which is the last song on the album, I like that because on the drums, which is my instrument, it's in a 6/8 time signature, which isn't a very common time signature for heavy metal bands to play in. And so when we got into the studio, we just really kind of let it rip. You know, we knew what the structure of the song was, but we improvised a lot on it. And I think that jumps through pretty well on that one. I enjoy that. I think that's where the band is at now more than we used to be. We've grown up together as musicians, so we're not afraid to take chances and play outside of the box a little bit. And this record, I think, demonstrates some of that.
Yeah. Alors voilà, donc je demandais à Dave un petit peu si effectivement dans les 10 chansons qui étaient là, il y avait une chanson qui parlait plus du Even Edge actuel ou s'il y avait quelque chose que les partageait. Alors non, il a dit qu'il aimait bien tous les titres, Il y a vraiment du bon travail de Reggie, de Jacob, de Marc. Il y a des belles choses à jouer. Comme le dit, il adore jouer certains morceaux à la batterie. Et puis, tous les titres ont été bien construits, bien faits. Et il a passé beaucoup de temps. Alors, il aime beaucoup le dernier titre, I'm Not the One, qui est un morceau assez heavy metal, où il aime bien jouer ce morceau-là à la batterie. Et puis, c'est un morceau où il y a eu beaucoup d'impro, il y a eu beaucoup de belles choses. Voilà, moi, je vais juste lui dire lequel j'ai aimé. Marc, just to give some feedback, one of my favorite songs of this new record is Nothing Left by Goodbye. I think this one is look like the most heritage, I would like to say, to JJ, because it's something that I'm maybe this is a feeling that I have when I see Gigi on stage. So Nothing Left but Goodbye. It look like something like you're not here, but don't forget we are here.
Yeah, he would love that song. No doubt about it, because that song is a little bluesier and it's a little has like some throwback, feels a little bit like maybe like Cinderella somewhat, or like Great White, or some of those more bluesy leaning bands. And that's, we always had a side of us that was part of it. That song was one of the last songs we added to the album. We had it. It was written early on, but we were not sure if we were going to put it on the album. And then one day we just looked at each other, we're like, what are we, crazy? Put this song on the album. This is freaking great. So yeah, no, I love that song too. Thank you. Steve Parry plays a great slide guitar on it, and it's just it's cool, man. Yeah, George would love that song. Yeah, you're right.
Voilà, donc moi j'ai dit à Dave que ma préférée c'était Nothing Left But Goodbye, because voilà, vous l'avez compris, c'est un titre qui est très bluesy rock, un peu comme faisait Cinderella, comme fait bien sûr Even Edge. Il y a une belle guitare, et moi je pense qu'effectivement c'est un grand clin d'œil à GG. Et puis la guitare de Steve Parry, le travail de Reggie, la création sur ce titre, moi je vous invite à l'écouter, ce morceau, Nothing Left But Goodbye. C'est vraiment un très très bon titre. David, before we ending, because the time pass and we can discuss a lot about music.
Yeah, I can certainly talk.
And just maybe two questions. We just come back at the beginning of Even Edge before we ending. I have a chance to listen, of course, Rocksteady, and one of the fabulous songs. I like Skin to Skin, so
yeah.
It's mandatory to play Skin to Skin and maybe Rocksteady, because it is maybe the two songs with clearly everybody wants to hear live now.
Are you asking if we're going to play them when we come to Germany?
I would like, please.
Oh yeah. We'll definitely do Skin to Skin. We usually play Rocksteady. I don't know if we played a show without playing it in a long time, but we have to see how everything fits in with how much time we have and with the new material. But yeah, I'm sure we'll do both of those. Yeah, I love playing both of those songs. Yep.
On parlait juste, alors j'ai juste fait un petit bouteille pour revenir en arrière un petit peu au début de Even Edge, avec cet album fantastique qui est le premier album, bien sûr, Even Edge, que tout le monde a dans sa discographie. Et bien sûr, il y a deux titres qui, moi, me marquent beaucoup. Il y a le Skin to Skin sur Even Edge, et puis il y a sur l'album Even Edge, et puis bien sûr, il y a le Rocksteady sur l'autre album qui s'appelle ni plus ni moins que, je me rappelle tout de suite, je vous le donne, Some Other Place, Some Other Time. Voilà, on va terminer cette interview là-dessus. Dave.
Yeah.
First of all, thank you so much for your time. This this morning for you, this afternoon for me in Paris. It's a great pleasure to speak with you. Before we ending, do you have some words for the French listener who maybe discover Even Edge? I don't know.
Well, first I would like to, I don't know if people are discovering us now. I hope that they are, because that shows that people are coming back to rock music, right? I don't know how it's been in France, but in America, people always talk about rock music is dead. Nobody likes rock music anymore. Well, that's bullshit. People love rock music. They come out to see the bands and they support all the bands. There's a lot of great new bands, and bands like us are getting a chance to take another lap around the track, and we couldn't be happier. So what I would say to the people of France, as far as Heaven's Edge goes, is, go out and see live music as much as you can. Certainly, I would encourage you to come and see us, of course, but go to see anybody, because that's really what keeps it going. That's what keeps new bands coming up and influencing new forms of rock music. So it's a really exciting time right now. After the pandemic, I find that when I go to shows, which is I have to do and I want to do for what I do for a living, I'm out almost every night seeing bands, and the clubs are packed again. And I just went to a couple of shows this week at Madison Square Garden, completely sold out. You know, it's a great time for rock music, and I'm really inspired by what I'm seeing. The old bands are out there with a new energy, and I put us in that category. But the younger bands who are coming up, man, there's a lot of good stuff out there. So as far as the French audience goes, like I said, one of my favorite bands of all time is Gojira, because I worked with them for many years, so they're the best. We're not as good as Gojira, but we'll do our best to play and make those guys proud, because I'm friends with them, and maybe I'll get them to come out and see us. So.
Ben voilà, comme le dit Dave, alors, le rock n'est pas mort. Rock is not dead. Voilà, sortez, allez faire des concerts, profitez. Voilà, il y a plein de vieux groupes qui tournent, il y a plein de groupes qui arrivent, il y a avec des nouveaux sons, de la nouvelle musique. Comme le dit Dave, il sort presque tous les soirs, il va y avoir des concerts, c'est complet au Madison Square Garden. Et puis, comme il le dit, étant un très grand fan, et il travaille avec Gojira depuis très longtemps, foncez voir tous ces nouveaux groupes. Dave, again, thank you so much for your time. Congratulations for this new release. It's a great, great, great pleasure to speak with you, to speak about the music of Even Age. And now we're waiting to see you in Hamburg.
Yeah. Can't wait to get there, man. Yeah, we're psyched. Can't wait to play. We're working up our set list right now. We're excited to play. We can't wait. It's gonna be great.
Et ben voilà, ben nous on va continuer bien sûr avec des extraits du Get, voilà qu'on va écouter Get It Right dans un instant.